Most people try to win loudly. They argue. They react fast. They show their plans too early. But real power often moves in silence. The people who stay ahead in life are not always the fastest. They are not always the loudest. They are the ones who think before they act, the ones who observe before they speak, the ones who see patterns others miss. Strategic thinking is not manipulation. It is awareness. It is patience. It is choosing the right move at the right time. In this audiobook, you will learn how to read situations clearly, how to control emotion when others react, how to position yourself without announcing your plans, and how to win quietly without creating unnecessary enemies. If you want to sharpen your mind and build calm power, subscribe to this channel now. New chapters and audiobooks are released here regularly. Your journey into strategic thinking begins now. Chapter 1. Seeing the game behind the surface. Most people react to what they see. They respond to words. They respond to tone. They respond to events. Strategic thinkers do something different. They look beneath the surface. Every situation has two layers. There is what is visible, and there is what is hidden. The visible layer is easy to notice. It is the argument in a meeting. It is the sudden change in behavior. It is the opportunity that appears out of nowhere. The hidden layer is quieter. It is intention. It is fear. It is timing. It is power. If you only react to the visible layer, you are always late. You are always responding. Strategic thinking begins when you pause before reacting. Most people move quickly. They speak quickly. They decide quickly. Speed feels powerful, but speed without awareness leads to mistakes. When something happens, your first instinct is emotional. You feel surprised. You feel defensive. You feel excited. Emotion pushes action. Strategic thinking slows emotion, not by denying it, but by observing it. When you observe emotion instead of obeying it, you gain control. Control creates advantage. Imagine a disagreement at work. Someone challenges your idea. The visible layer is the disagreement. The hidden layer might be competition, insecurity, or positioning for influence. If you only react to the words, you may argue. If you see the hidden layer, you may respond differently. You might ask a question. You might redirect focus. You might wait. Strategic thinkers understand that not every move needs an immediate answer. Silence can be a move. Patience can be a move. Most people reveal their strategy too early. They show their frustration. They show their excitement. This gives others information. Information is power. The less you reveal, the more control you keep. This does not mean being cold. It means being aware. Awareness is the foundation of strategy. Look at any competitive environment, business, politics, even friendships. There are patterns. Some people seek approval. Some seek control. Some seek recognition. If you can identify what someone wants, you understand their next move. Strategic thinking is pattern recognition. Patterns repeat. When someone interrupts often, it is a pattern. When someone avoids responsibility, it is a pattern. Do not focus on one moment. Focus on repetition. Repetition reveals intention. Another important skill is detachment. Detachment does not mean you do not care. It means you do not become controlled by what you feel. When you detach, you can see clearly. Clarity allows better decisions. Most people are trapped inside the moment. Strategic thinkers step outside it. They ask simple questions internally. What is really happening here? What does this person want? What happens if I say nothing? These questions slow reaction. Slowing reaction creates power. There is also timing. Timing is often more important than intelligence. You can say the right thing at the wrong time and lose influence. You can say very little at the right time and gain respect. Strategic thinking studies timing. Not everything needs to be solved immediately. Sometimes waiting reveals more information. Information reduces risk. Risk management is part of strategy. Every action has a cost. Speaking has a cost. Silence has a cost. Agreeing has a cost. Disagreeing has a cost. Strategic thinkers calculate before acting, not with anxiety, with awareness. They ask themselves what outcome they want. Without a desired outcome, action becomes random. Random action creates chaos. Strategy requires direction. You must know what you are aiming for. If your goal is influence, your behavior changes. If your goal is peace, your behavior changes. Clarity of goal shapes response. Many people lose because they chase short-term emotion. They win arguments and lose relationships. They win attention and lose trust. Strategic thinkers look long-term. They ask what matters in a year, not just today. Long-term vision protects you from small traps. Traps often look attractive in the moment. An insult invites retaliation. A compliment invites ego. Both can distract you. Distraction weakens position. Focus strengthens it. Another element of strategic thinking is emotional neutrality. When others try to provoke you, they are testing your stability. If you react strongly, you reveal weakness. If you stay calm, you reveal strength. Calm is not passive. It is controlled power. Controlled power is difficult to challenge. People respect those who cannot be easily shaken. Stability becomes your advantage. Strategic thinkers also understand leverage. Leverage is influence without force. You do not always need to push. Sometimes you reposition. Repositioning can mean changing topics, changing tone, changing environment. Small adjustments shift outcomes. You do not need dramatic moves. Subtle shifts are often stronger. Observation is your greatest tool. Observe who speaks the most. Observe who stays silent. Observe who agrees quickly. Every behavior communicates. The surface shows words. The deeper layer shows motivation. Another key skill is conserving energy. Not every battle deserves your effort. Engaging in every conflict drains focus. Strategic thinkers choose carefully. They ask if this matters long term. If it does not, they let it go. Letting go is not weakness. It is discipline. Discipline protects strategy. Many people expose themselves through impulse. They reveal insecurity. They reveal ambition. They reveal fear. Strategic thinkers manage exposure. They share selectively. Selective sharing maintains mystery. Mystery maintains advantage. This does not mean being dishonest. It means being intentional. Intentional behavior creates structure. Structure supports long-term success. Another important element is listening more than speaking. When you speak, you give information. When you listen, you collect information. Information helps prediction. Prediction gives you edge. If you can predict someone's reaction, you control the tempo. Control of tempo is control of direction. Strategic thinking is not about manipulating others. It is about mastering yourself. Self-mastery is the foundation. If you cannot control your reaction, you cannot control outcomes. Control begins with awareness of impulse. Impulse is fast. Strategy is patient. Patience is rare. Because patience is rare, it is powerful. Most people rush. You will wait. Most people argue. You will observe. Most people reveal. You will calculate. This difference creates distance. Distance creates advantage. Another concept is positioning. In every environment, there are positions. Some are central, some are peripheral. You do not always need the spotlight. Influence often grows in quiet positions. When you speak less but speak precisely, people listen. Precision beats volume. Another part of strategy is knowing when to appear inactive. Sometimes the strongest move is no move. When others expect reaction and you give none, they lose balance. Unpredictability creates power, but unpredictability must be controlled. Random behavior is chaos. Intentional unpredictability is strategy. You choose when to reveal strength. You choose when to remain neutral. This control builds quiet confidence. Quiet confidence does not demand recognition. It does not need applause. It trusts process. Strategic thinkers also accept that not everyone needs to understand them. You do not explain every plan. You do not defend every choice. You move with purpose. Purpose reduces noise. Noise confuses thinking. Clarity sharpens action. Another important skill is separating ego from decision. Ego wants to win immediately. Strategy wants to win sustainably. Sustainable wins last longer. They build stability. Stability compounds over time. Strategic thinking is long-term discipline. It is not dramatic. It is steady. It grows through practice. Each situation becomes training. You begin to see layers automatically. You notice tone shifts. You notice hesitation. You notice patterns. Your awareness expands. Expanded awareness changes how you move. You stop reacting blindly. You begin responding deliberately. Deliberate action builds reputation. Reputation becomes silent power. People begin to see you as steady, measured, controlled. This image strengthens your position, not because you forced it, but because you practiced restraint. Restraint is strength. Strength does not shout. It positions quietly. Seeing the game behind the surface is the first step. When you see clearly, you move wisely. When you move wisely, you stay ahead. And when you stay ahead, you win without noise. Chapter 2. Controlling emotion before it controls you. Every situation tests your emotions. A sharp comment, an unexpected loss, a sudden opportunity, a hidden threat. Most people believe strategy is about intelligence, but intelligence without emotional control collapses under pressure. Emotion is fast. Strategy is slow. When emotion moves first, strategy disappears. If someone criticizes you, your body reacts immediately. Your heart rate increases. Your mind prepares defense. This reaction is natural. It is survival instinct. But survival instinct is not always useful in modern situations. Not every disagreement is danger. Not every challenge is an attack. Strategic thinkers understand this difference. They feel emotion, but they do not obey it. There is power in the pause. The space between feeling and action is where strategy lives. When you pause, you create choice. Choice separates you from the crowd. Most people react instantly. Instant reaction exposes weakness. Reaction reveals insecurity. It reveals fear. It reveals ego. Calm silence reveals strength. Imagine someone trying to provoke you. They expect a reaction. They want confirmation that they affected you. If you react emotionally, you give them information. If you stay calm, you create uncertainty. Uncertainty shifts power. Strategic thinkers know that visible emotion can be used against them. This does not mean suppressing feelings. It means regulating them. Regulation begins with awareness. Notice physical signs: tension in the jaw, tightness in the chest, faster breathing. These signals appear before words. If you catch them early, you gain control. Take a slow breath. Breath interrupts impulse. Impulse loses strength when slowed. Another key idea is detachment. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you step back internally. You observe the situation as if you are outside it. From outside, you see more clearly. You notice motives. You notice timing. You notice leverage. Inside emotion, vision narrows. Outside emotion, vision expands. Strategic thinking requires wide vision. Wide vision reduces mistakes. Many losses happen not because of poor plans, but because of emotional reaction. Anger leads to rushed decisions. Excitement leads to careless exposure. Fear leads to retreat. Balance prevents extremes. Balance creates stability. Stability builds reputation. When people see that you do not break under pressure, they treat you differently. They become cautious. They become respectful. Emotional control builds silent authority. Another important concept is emotional economy. Not every issue deserves full emotional investment. If you react strongly to small matters, you lose energy. Energy must be preserved for what truly matters. Strategic thinkers choose where to invest emotion. They do not waste it on noise. Noise distracts from long-term goals. Long-term focus protects position. When you control emotion, you control tempo. Tempo shapes outcomes. If someone tries to rush you, slow down. If someone tries to provoke you, soften your tone. Opposite responses disrupt expectation. Disrupted expectation creates advantage. Another skill is recognizing manipulation. Some people use emotion intentionally. They raise their voice. They create urgency. They exaggerate problems. They hope your emotion will match theirs. When you remain calm, manipulation fails. Calm reveals control. Control strengthens position. Another powerful practice is asking internal questions before responding. What is the outcome I want? Will this reaction help me reach it? What happens if I say nothing? These questions anchor you. Anchors prevent drift. Drift leads to regret. Regret weakens confidence. Strategic thinkers prefer delayed response over instant regret. Delay is not weakness. Delay is preparation. Preparation reduces error. Another important aspect is separating ego from goal. Ego wants validation. Goal wants progress. If ego wins, strategy loses. When someone insults you, ego wants revenge, but revenge often damages long-term position. Ask yourself which matters more, winning a moment or winning the game. Games are long. Moments are short. Choose accordingly. Another important factor is emotional camouflage. You do not need to show excitement too early. If you reveal excitement about an opportunity, others may raise barriers. Neutral response keeps options open. When others cannot read your intensity, they cannot predict your move. Prediction is power. Limit prediction. Maintain composure. Composure builds trust. Trust creates influence. Another skill is managing disappointment quietly. Not every plan succeeds. Visible frustration signals vulnerability. Quiet adjustment signals maturity. Maturity earns respect. Respect supports strategy. Another key principle is emotional consistency. If your reactions are extreme, people learn how to control you. If you are stable, people become uncertain. Uncertainty protects you. Stability becomes your shield. Another important idea is that emotional control improves thinking. When the mind is calm, analysis improves. Clear analysis leads to better decisions. Better decisions compound over time. Compounding advantage is silent power. Another challenge is internal dialogue. After conflict, the mind replays events. This fuels future emotion. Strategic thinkers cut this loop early. They reflect briefly. They learn. They release. Carrying emotional weight slows progress. Light mind moves faster. Another principle is restraint in victory. Even when you win, remain measured. Celebrating loudly can create enemies. Quiet success builds quiet strength. Let results speak. Another element is patience under pressure. Pressure tests emotional control. Some people break quickly, others harden. Strategic thinkers remain flexible. Flexibility allows adaptation. Adaptation maintains advantage. Another powerful skill is emotional forecasting. Before entering important situations, imagine triggers. Prepare responses in advance. Preparation reduces surprise. Reduced surprise lowers emotion. Lower emotion increases control. Control sharpens thinking. Another challenge is personal attachment. If you attach identity to outcomes, emotion intensifies. Separate identity from result. You are not your single success or failure. Detachment stabilizes perspective. Stable perspective supports calm action. Another principle is choosing silence strategically. Not every thought deserves expression. Not every truth needs immediate sharing. Silence protects position. Position determines influence. Influence shapes results. Another important factor is consistency across environments. Be steady in private and public. Consistency builds trust. Trust strengthens strategic relationships. Another key idea is long-term emotional discipline. Discipline means training your reactions. It means practicing calm in small situations. Small discipline prepares you for large tests. Large tests determine reputation. Reputation determines opportunity. Opportunity determines advantage. Another principle is controlling visible frustration. Frustration signals weakness. Weakness invites pressure. Calm discourages attack. Another powerful practice is reframing. Instead of seeing challenge as threat, see it as data. Data informs strategy. Threat triggers fear. Fear narrows thinking. Reframing widens thinking. Wide thinking strengthens plans. Another important idea is emotional privacy. Not everyone deserves access to your internal state. Share selectively. Selective sharing maintains power. Power is not aggression. It is control. Control begins inside. If you cannot control emotion, you cannot control direction. Direction determines destination. Destination defines success. Strategic thinking is not about being cold. It is about being centered. Centered minds make better moves. Better moves require patience. Patience requires control. Control requires awareness. Awareness grows through practice. Every day presents small tests. A delayed message, a disagreement, an unexpected change. Treat each as training. Train your pause. Train your breath. Train your tone. Over time, calm becomes natural. Natural calm becomes your identity. When others panic, you remain steady. When others react, you calculate. When others reveal emotion, you gather information. Information builds advantage. Advantage accumulates quietly. Quiet accumulation wins long games. Emotional control is not dramatic. It is subtle. It does not shout. It protects. It guides. It strengthens. When you master emotion, you master timing. When you master timing, you master positioning. And when you master positioning, you stay ahead without noise. Chapter 3. Reading people without being obvious. Strategic thinking is not only about plans, it is about people. Every decision you make involves someone else. A partner, a colleague, a competitor, a friend. If you cannot read people, you cannot move wisely. Most people listen only to words. Strategic thinkers watch behavior. Words are often controlled. Behavior is often honest. A person may say they agree, but their tone may hesitate. Their body may lean back. Their eyes may avoid contact. These signals matter. Reading people begins with observation. Observation requires patience. If you speak too much, you miss signals. If you rush to conclusions, you misread patterns. Strategic thinkers slow down. They notice repetition. One reaction means little. Repeated reactions reveal character. Patterns reveal truth. If someone always changes tone around authority, that is a pattern. If someone becomes silent when challenged, that is a pattern. Patterns show where pressure exists. Pressure reveals motivation. Motivation predicts behavior. When you understand what someone wants, you understand what they might do next. Some want recognition. Some want control. Some want security. Some want validation. You do not need them to admit it. Their actions will show it. Another key skill is listening beyond the words. When someone speaks, ask yourself why they are saying this now. Timing reveals intention. If someone praises you suddenly, what changed? If someone criticizes you publicly, what is their goal? Do not assume malice. Assume strategy. Not everyone is hostile, but many are intentional. Strategic thinkers remain neutral while observing. They do not rush to judge. Judgment clouds perception. Neutrality sharpens it. Another powerful tool is silence. After someone speaks, remain quiet for a moment. People often reveal more in the space after their first statement. Silence invites expansion. Expansion reveals depth. Depth reveals true position. Another principle is emotional contrast. When someone's words and emotions do not match, pay attention. If someone says they are fine but sounds tense, that tension holds meaning. Emotion often leaks. Leakage is information. Information creates advantage. But reading people is not about manipulation. It is about understanding context. Context protects you from surprise. Surprise weakens position. Preparedness strengthens it. Another skill is observing how people treat others. How someone behaves toward those with less power reveals character. Character predicts future behavior. If someone speaks kindly only to those above them, note it. If someone shifts personality in different settings, note it. Consistency reveals stability. Instability signals risk. Strategic thinkers avoid unstable alliances. They value reliability. Reliability builds long-term strength. Another concept is mirroring lightly. Mirroring is subtle alignment. You adjust tone slightly. You match pace gently. This builds comfort. Comfort increases openness. Openness reveals information. Information improves strategy. But mirroring must remain natural. Overdoing it feels false. False behavior reduces trust. Trust matters. Even in competition, trust shapes influence. Another important idea is watching reactions under stress. Stress removes masks. Observe someone during pressure. Do they blame others? Do they panic? Do they withdraw? These reactions show core patterns. Core patterns matter more than surface charm. Another skill is understanding incentives. People move toward benefit and away from loss. If you know what someone gains or loses, you predict choices. Prediction creates advantage. Advantage allows positioning. Positioning creates leverage. Another key element is avoiding projection. Projection happens when you assume others think like you. They do not. Each person acts from their own fears and desires. To read someone well, step outside yourself. Ask what matters to them. What do they protect? What do they seek? When you see through their lens, behavior makes sense. Another principle is restraint in revealing your analysis. If people know you are studying them, they adjust. Quiet observation protects accuracy. Accuracy strengthens decisions. Strategic thinkers collect information slowly. They do not confront immediately. They wait for clarity. Clarity reduces error. Another important factor is body language. Small movements speak loudly. Crossed arms may signal defense. Leaning forward may signal interest. Avoiding eye contact may signal discomfort. But never rely on one signal. Look for clusters. Multiple signals together create meaning. Clusters reveal emotion. Emotion reveals intention. Another powerful habit is noticing what people avoid. Avoidance speaks. If someone avoids certain topics, that topic may hold power. Power often hides behind avoidance. Strategic thinkers notice absences as much as presence. Another concept is emotional calibration. You can test reactions gently. Share a small piece of information. Watch response. Do they react strongly? Do they stay neutral? Small tests reveal larger tendencies. But testing must remain ethical. Strategy without integrity collapses. Integrity ensures long-term stability. Another key idea is patience with conclusions. Early assumptions create blind spots. Blind spots create vulnerability. Wait for repeated evidence. Repeated evidence confirms patterns. Patterns guide decisions. Another skill is separating charm from substance. Some people appear confident, but confidence without consistency is fragile. Watch actions over time. Time reveals truth. Another principle is protecting your reactions while reading others. If someone tries to read you, remain steady. Do not reveal what you are evaluating. Steady presence discourages probing. Probing without feedback loses momentum. Another element is understanding hierarchy. In every environment, there is structure. Power flows through visible and invisible channels. Observe who influences decisions quietly. Often the loudest voice is not the strongest. Quiet influences shape outcomes. Strategic thinkers identify these individuals. They position accordingly. Another important factor is recognizing alliances. Who supports whom? Who defends whom? Alliances reveal loyalty. Loyalty shapes risk. Risk assessment guides movement. Another concept is observing energy shifts. When a certain name is mentioned, does mood change? When a topic appears, does tension rise? Energy shifts indicate importance. Importance signals leverage. Leverage can be used carefully. Careful use protects reputation. Another powerful idea is empathy without attachment. You can understand someone's emotion without absorbing it. Understanding increases prediction. Prediction supports timing. Timing shapes success. Another skill is recognizing insecurity. Insecurity often hides behind aggression or arrogance. If you see insecurity, you see vulnerability. Vulnerability can cause instability. Instability requires caution. Another principle is long-term memory. Remember small details. Details build patterns. Patterns guide strategy. Strategic thinkers keep mental notes. They do not expose these notes. They use them when needed. Another idea is managing your own transparency. You do not need to reveal everything. Selective openness builds mystery. Mystery preserves advantage. Another important concept is humility in observation. You can misread. Remain open to correction. Overconfidence blinds. Awareness sharpens. Another skill is recognizing emotional triggers in others. If someone reacts strongly to certain words, note it. Triggers indicate sensitivity. Sensitivity indicates pressure points. Pressure points influence decisions. Another element is context awareness. Behavior changes in different settings. Observe someone in private and public. Differences reveal flexibility or insecurity. Flexibility can be strategic. Insecurity can be unstable. Distinguish between the two. Another key principle is consistency of your own presence. If you remain steady while reading others, you maintain balance. Balance prevents emotional absorption. Emotional absorption clouds analysis. Clear analysis improves positioning. Another powerful habit is letting others speak first in new environments. The more they reveal, the more you understand. Understanding builds map. Map guides movement. Movement guided by map reduces risk. Another concept is subtle encouragement. Encourage others to elaborate. People enjoy being heard. The more they speak, the more data you gather. Data strengthens foresight. Foresight keeps you ahead. Another principle is never underestimating quiet individuals. Quiet does not mean weak. Quiet often means observant. Observe them carefully. They may be playing a longer game. Another skill is noticing ambition. Ambition shapes behavior. If you see someone seeking advancement, anticipate moves. Anticipation prevents surprise. Surprise weakens stability. Another important idea is internal neutrality. Do not become emotionally attached to your interpretation. Stay flexible. Flexibility allows adjustment. Adjustment protects strategy. Another principle is balancing trust and caution. Trust builds relationships. Caution protects interests. Balance prevents vulnerability. Strategic thinkers walk this line carefully. Reading people is not about suspicion. It is about clarity. Clarity reduces fear. Fear distorts perception. Calm perception improves accuracy. Accuracy improves positioning. Positioning shapes outcomes. When you read people quietly and accurately, you avoid unnecessary conflict. You avoid traps. You avoid blind reactions. Instead, you move with awareness. You respond with precision. You stay ahead, not because you are louder, but because you see more, and seeing more is the beginning of winning quietly. Chapter 4. Playing the long game. When others think short-term, most people live in the moment. They chase quick wins. They respond to immediate pressure. They focus on what feels urgent. Strategic thinkers focus on what lasts. The difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking is quiet but powerful. Short-term thinking seeks fast reward. Long-term thinking seeks lasting position. Fast reward feels exciting. Lasting position builds power. When someone insults you, the short-term move is to respond sharply. It feels satisfying. It feels strong. But what happens next? You may win the moment. You may lose influence. Strategic thinking asks a different question. What does this mean 6 months from now? What does this mean next year? When you think long-term, your behavior changes. You become patient. Patience is rare. Because patience is rare, it creates advantage. Most people reveal their plans too early. They celebrate small progress loudly. They announce goals before securing them. This invites competition. It invites interference. Strategic thinkers move quietly. They build first. They reveal later. Revealing too early creates pressure. Pressure invites opposition. Silence preserves momentum. Long-term strategy requires vision. Vision means seeing beyond today's emotion. Today's frustration may not matter next year. Today's praise may not matter next year. Emotional swings lose power when you zoom out. Zooming out stabilizes thinking. Stability improves decisions. Another key idea is delayed gratification. Short-term thinkers seek immediate validation. They want credit now. They want recognition now. Strategic thinkers understand timing. Recognition too early can create expectations. Expectations create weight. Weight slows progress. Sometimes it is better to let others underestimate you. Underestimation creates room to grow. Growth without pressure builds strength. Another important principle is consistency. Long-term wins require steady effort, not dramatic bursts. Steady action compounds. Compounding is quiet. It is not visible at first, but over time it becomes powerful. Small, smart decisions repeated daily create large results. Most people quit when results are not immediate. Strategic thinkers continue. They understand that progress is often invisible at the beginning. Invisible progress builds foundation. Foundation supports future moves. Another key factor is reputation. Reputation is built slowly. It is damaged quickly. Short-term reactions can harm long-term reputation. Strategic thinkers protect reputation carefully. They ask before acting, will this action strengthen or weaken? How I am seen. Reputation shapes opportunity. Opportunity shapes power. Another important idea is choosing battles. Short-term thinkers fight every challenge. They argue often. They defend every point. Strategic thinkers choose selectively. Not every disagreement deserves engagement. Engagement consumes energy. Energy is limited. Preserve energy for critical moments. Critical moments define trajectory. Another powerful habit is thinking in sequences. Every move leads to another move. If you say yes today, what does that lead to tomorrow? If you say no today, what door closes? Strategic thinkers consider chains of consequence. Consequence awareness prevents regret. Regret often comes from impulsive decisions. Impulse is short-term. Strategy is long-term. Another principle is resisting emotional urgency. Urgency often feels important, but urgency is sometimes artificial. People create urgency to force decisions. When you slow down, urgency weakens. Weak urgency reveals true priority. Priority guides long-term action. Another key element is patience with growth. Growth does not happen overnight. It requires repetition. Repetition builds mastery. Mastery creates quiet authority. Authority built slowly is harder to challenge. Another important idea is accepting temporary discomfort. Long-term thinking often requires short-term sacrifice. Less recognition now, more stability later. Less excitement now, more control later. This exchange is worth it. Short-term pleasure often leads to long-term cost. Long-term discipline leads to long-term freedom. Strategic thinkers understand this trade. Another concept is protecting your position. Position is not only status. It is relationships. It is knowledge. It is influence. Short-term mistakes can weaken position. Long-term awareness preserves it. Another powerful idea is restraint in sharing plans. Plans are strongest before exposure. Exposure invites opinion. Opinion invites doubt. Doubt slows momentum. Keep plans protected until ready. Protection increases success rate. Another key factor is adaptability. Long-term strategy is not rigid. It adjusts when information changes. Adaptation is strength. Stubbornness can destroy progress. Strategic thinkers adapt without panic. They stay aligned with goals. Goals anchor movement. Wine fills. Another principle is resisting comparison. Short-term thinkers compare constantly. They chase others' progress. This distracts from their own path. Strategic thinkers focus on trajectory. Trajectory matters more than speed. Slow, steady movement beats fast, unstable movement. Another important idea is building leverage slowly. Leverage grows from knowledge, relationships, and credibility. These take time. Time invested wisely creates options. Options create freedom. Freedom increases power. Another concept is calm under delay. Delays frustrate short-term thinkers. Strategic thinkers use delay. Delay can reveal new information. Information improves positioning. Positioning determines outcome. Another powerful habit is thinking in layers. There is immediate gain. There is medium gain. There is lasting gain. Short-term thinkers stop at immediate. Strategic thinkers aim for lasting. Lasting gain compounds. Compounding builds advantage quietly. Another key idea is learning continuously. Long-term success requires growth. Growth requires humility. Humility invites knowledge. Knowledge strengthens strategy. Another principle is resisting ego-driven moves. Ego seeks validation. Validation often distracts from goal. Strategic thinkers prioritize results over recognition. Results speak louder than declarations. Another important factor is calm decision-making under pressure. Pressure invites rash action. Rash action damages long-term stability. Slow, deliberate response protects direction. Direction defines future. Another powerful idea is building alliances carefully. Alliances should align with long-term values. Short-term alliances may create future risk. Risk management is essential. Strategic thinkers evaluate reliability over charm. Charm fades. Character remains. Another key principle is playing multiple steps ahead. Think beyond the next move. If this happens, what follows? If that follows, what then? Anticipation reduces surprise. Reduced surprise increases control. Another concept is emotional endurance. Long-term thinking requires emotional stamina. You must tolerate slow progress. You must tolerate temporary invisibility. Invisibility is not failure. It is preparation. Preparation precedes emergence. Another important idea is resisting public validation. Public praise can distract from private progress. Stay focused on internal metrics. Internal progress is stable. External praise fluctuates. Another principle is avoiding unnecessary enemies. Short-term pride creates long-term resistance. Quiet strength avoids unnecessary conflict. Less conflict means fewer obstacles. Fewer obstacles mean smoother progress. Another powerful habit is strategic withdrawal. Sometimes stepping back is progress. Distance provides perspective. Perspective clarifies next move. Another key element is protecting momentum. Momentum is fragile early. Guard it. Avoid distractions. Stay consistent. Consistency compounds. Another important idea is integrity. Long-term success depends on trust. Trust depends on consistency. Consistency depends on discipline. Discipline requires patience. Patience sustains long-term thinking. Another principle is emotional neutrality in success. Do not become careless when things go well. Success can weaken vigilance. Vigilance protects position. Another powerful idea is legacy thinking. Ask what you want to be known for. Reputation shapes legacy. Legacy shapes decisions. When decisions align with legacy, they strengthen future. Another key concept is clarity of purpose. Purpose prevents distraction. Without purpose, you chase noise. Noise leads to instability. Instability weakens power. Another important idea is quiet confidence. You do not need to announce your strategy. You execute it. Execution builds credibility. Credibility builds influence. Influence builds advantage. Playing the long game requires discipline. Discipline separates reaction from intention. Intention guides movement. Movement builds position. Position shapes outcome. When others rush, you remain steady. When others celebrate too soon, you continue building. When others focus on today, you focus on tomorrow. Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare today. Preparation is quiet. Power is quiet. Winning quietly is not about hiding. It is about building so steadily that by the time others notice, the game has already shifted, and you are already ahead. Chapter 5. Positioning yourself without announcing your intentions. Most people make one critical mistake. They talk about their plans too soon. They announce goals before they build foundation. They reveal ambition before they secure position. This creates resistance. When people know exactly what you want, they react. Some compete, some block. Some pretend to support while quietly adjusting. Strategic thinkers move differently. They position first. They announce later. Positioning is quiet preparation. It is placing yourself in the right environment, building the right relationships, developing the right skills, all without drawing unnecessary attention. Attention can be useful, but early attention can also be dangerous. If you appear too ambitious too soon, others may see you as a threat. Threat invites opposition. Opposition slows progress. Subtle movement avoids this. Positioning begins with awareness of environment. Every environment has structure. There are visible leaders. There are hidden influences. There are observers. You must understand this structure before acting. Observe who makes decisions. Observe who influences decisions quietly. Influence is not always visible. Sometimes the quiet person shapes direction more than the loud one. Positioning means building access to influence. Access requires trust. Trust grows slowly. Trust grows through consistency. Consistency builds reliability. Reliability increases proximity. Proximity creates opportunity. Opportunity strengthens position. Another key idea is skill development in silence. Instead of talking about your goals, improve your abilities. Competence attracts respect. Respect builds leverage. Leverage increases options. Options create power. When you are competent, your presence carries weight. You do not need to speak loudly. Your work speaks. Another principle is emotional neutrality, about recognition. Recognition feels good, but craving recognition exposes insecurity. Insecurity weakens position. Strategic thinkers allow recognition to come naturally. They focus on value. Value builds reputation. Reputation builds credibility. Credibility builds influence. Another important idea is timing disclosure. Not every plan must remain hidden forever, but timing matters. Reveal when foundation is strong. Reveal when position is stable. Reveal when exposure will not weaken you. Early exposure creates vulnerability. Late exposure creates impact. Another powerful skill is managing perception. Perception shapes opportunity. If you are seen as reactive, people limit your responsibility. If you are seen as steady, people trust you with more. Your behavior shapes perception daily. Calm under pressure. Measured responses. Consistent delivery. These behaviors create an image of control. Control commands respect. Respect strengthens position. Another concept is strategic humility. Humility disarms competition. When you appear modest, others relax. Relaxed people reveal more. Revealed information strengthens your awareness. Awareness sharpens your movement. Strategic humility does not mean shrinking. It means choosing when to display strength. Strength shown at the right time increases impact. Another important factor is building alliances quietly. Alliances provide support. Support increases stability. Stability improves risk management. Choose alliances carefully. Alignment matters. Shared values create lasting alliances. Temporary alignment creates fragile ones. Fragile alliances collapse under pressure. Strategic thinkers prefer stability over speed. Another key principle is reducing unnecessary exposure. Do not volunteer opinions on every issue. Silence preserves neutrality. Neutrality preserves flexibility. Flexibility allows repositioning. Repositioning protects advantage. Another powerful habit is listening more than speaking in new environments. When you enter a new space, observe first. Understand culture. Understand priorities. Understand hidden tensions. Early speaking without context can damage perception. Context strengthens accuracy. Accuracy strengthens credibility. Another important idea is slow expansion. Instead of sudden visibility, grow gradually. Gradual growth feels natural. Sudden growth triggers scrutiny. Scrutiny increases resistance. Resistance slows progress. Gradual expansion maintains stability. Another concept is protecting emotional signals. If you are excited about an opportunity, remain composed. Visible excitement signals desire. Desire reveals leverage. When others know what you strongly want, they gain advantage. Neutral tone preserves balance. Balance protects negotiation power. Another principle is measured contribution. Speak when your words add value. Frequent speaking reduces impact. Selective speaking increases weight. Weight builds authority. Authority strengthens position. Another important factor is internal clarity. You must know what you want. If your goal is unclear, your positioning will be scattered. Scattered movement weakens influence. Clear goals guide subtle action. Subtle action compounds quietly. Another powerful skill is avoiding unnecessary rivalry. Not every competitor needs to be challenged directly. Direct confrontation creates tension. Sometimes it is wiser to grow sideways. Develop skills they ignore. Enter spaces they overlook. Quiet growth creates surprise advantage. Surprise advantage shifts balance. Another key idea is separating ego from movement. Ego seeks visible advancement. Strategy seeks stable advancement. Visible advancement can trigger envy. Envy creates obstacles. Stable advancement builds foundation. Foundation supports future elevation. Another important principle is protecting your narrative. Do not overshare your struggles or ambitions. Oversharing invites commentary. Commentary invites influence over your path. Keep narrative focused and controlled. Control of narrative strengthens perception. Perception influences opportunity. Another powerful concept is becoming indispensable, quietly. When you provide consistent value, people rely on you. Reliance increases leverage. Leverage increases stability. Stability strengthens long-term position. Another key element is reducing unpredictability in your own behavior. Be steady. Steadiness builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence builds quiet authority. Another principle is allowing others to underestimate you. Underestimation reduces pressure. Reduced pressure gives room to grow. Growth without pressure is efficient. Efficient growth builds silent strength. Another important idea is energy conservation. Do not invest energy in small conflicts. Energy must support long-term movement. Long-term movement requires focus. Focus requires discipline. Discipline builds power. Another powerful habit is observing reactions when you succeed. Who supports you? Who withdraws? Who becomes distant? Reactions reveal alignment. Alignment informs future positioning. Another key concept is strategic distance. You do not need to be involved in every circle. Distance preserves perspective. Perspective improves decision-making. Decision-making shapes trajectory. Another important factor is patience with visibility. You may not be recognized immediately. Recognition delayed often lasts longer. Lasting recognition builds stronger influence. Another principle is protecting momentum once it builds. Momentum attracts attention. Attention invites evaluation. Stay consistent. Consistency stabilizes momentum. Another powerful idea is subtle influence. Instead of commanding, suggest. Instead of forcing, guide. Guidance feels cooperative. Cooperation builds support. Support strengthens position. Another key concept is internal security. If you seek constant approval, you reveal vulnerability. Internal security reduces need for validation. Reduced need increases calm presence. Calm presence signals strength. Another important idea is aligning with value, not popularity. Popularity shifts quickly. Value remains. Value builds long-term respect. Respect strengthens influence. Another powerful habit is quiet preparation for opportunity. When opportunity appears, you are ready. Readiness turns chance into advantage. Unprepared ambition wastes opportunity. Preparation transforms it. Another key element is strategic patience in relationships. Trust builds slowly. Do not rush closeness. Rushed trust creates risk. Measured trust creates stability. Stability supports collaboration. Another important principle is staying unpredictable in timing, not in character. Your character must remain steady. Your timing can surprise. Surprise timing creates leverage. Leverage shifts negotiation power. Another powerful concept is knowing when to reveal strength. Too early creates threat. Too late reduces impact. Right timing creates dominance without noise. Another key factor is internal discipline. Discipline maintains subtle movement. Without discipline, ambition becomes obvious. Obvious ambition attracts resistance. Subtle ambition builds foundation. Foundation supports elevation. Another important idea is playing multiple roles quietly. Be supportive publicly. Build strategically privately. Balance maintains harmony. Harmony protects position. Position determines influence. Position shapes outcome. When you position yourself without announcing your intentions, you move freely. You build quietly. You prepare deeply. You reveal strategically. By the time others understand your direction, your foundation is already strong, and strength built in silence is difficult to challenge. Chapter 6. Anticipating moves before they happen. Most people react after something happens. Strategic thinkers prepare before it happens. The difference is anticipation. Anticipation is not guessing blindly. It is studying patterns. It is understanding motives. It is thinking ahead. If you can see one step ahead, you reduce surprise. If you can see 2 steps ahead, you gain advantage. Surprise weakens position. Preparation strengthens it. Every action creates a reaction. This is true in business. It is true in relationships. It is true in competition. When you act, someone responds. When someone acts, you respond. Strategic thinking studies this chain. Instead of asking only what should I do, ask what will they likely do next. This simple shift changes everything. Most people focus only on their move. Strategic thinkers focus on sequence. Sequence determines outcome. Imagine you propose a new idea. Short-term thinking asks, how will this sound right now? Strategic thinking asks, who benefits from this idea? Who feels threatened? Who gains influence? Who loses control? These questions reveal possible reactions. When you anticipate reaction, you can prepare response. Preparation removes panic. Panic causes mistakes. Another important idea is mapping incentives. People act based on what they gain or protect. If you know what someone values most, you can predict their decisions. Some value security. Some value recognition. Some value authority. When security is threatened, defensive behavior appears. When recognition is offered, cooperation appears. Incentives guide behavior. Understanding incentives guides strategy. Another key principle is watching patterns over time. A single action may mislead you. Repeated actions reveal habit. Habit predicts future behavior. If someone avoids accountability repeatedly, expect deflection again. If someone seeks control repeatedly, expect dominance, attempts again. Pattern awareness reduces shock. Shock weakens control. Control maintains advantage. Another powerful skill is scenario thinking. Before making a move, imagine possible outcomes. If this succeeds, what follows? If this fails, what changes? If this creates tension, how will I respond? Thinking in scenarios builds flexibility. Flexibility prevents collapse under pressure. Another important idea is preparing for resistance. Resistance is normal. When you introduce change, expect pushback. If you expect it, you remain calm. If you expect smooth acceptance, resistance feels threatening. Expectation shapes reaction. Prepare for friction. Friction sharpens strength. Another principle is reading emotional shifts early. Emotion changes before action. If someone's tone tightens, something has shifted. If someone becomes unusually quiet, something is forming. Early detection allows early adjustment. Early adjustment prevents escalation. Escalation increases cost. Cost drains energy. Energy must be preserved. Another powerful concept is staying 2 conversations ahead. Do not focus only on current discussion. Think about where this leads. If you agree now, what will be asked later? If you challenge now, what alliance might shift? Forward thinking protects long-term position. Another key factor is controlling your own predictability. If others can easily predict your reaction, they can manipulate timing. If you remain calm and varied in response, they hesitate. Hesitation gives you space. Space allows strategy. Another important idea is patience before decision. When pressure rises, pause. Quick decisions often favor the one who created urgency. Slowing down balances power. Balance prevents traps. Another principle is studying history. History reveals cycles. Conflicts repeat in patterns. Power shifts follow rhythms. When you study past outcomes, future moves become clearer. Clarity reduces fear. Reduced fear improves thinking. Another powerful skill is asking quiet internal questions. What is the long-term impact? What is the hidden motive? Who benefits most? These questions slow reaction. Slow reaction builds foresight. Foresight keeps you ahead. Another key concept is emotional forecasting. Before entering a tense situation, anticipate emotional triggers. If they challenge me publicly, I will stay calm. If they delay response, I will not show frustration. Preparation builds emotional stability. Stability strengthens presence. Another important idea is protecting your leverage. Leverage comes from information, skill, relationships, timing. Do not expose leverage too early. Use it only when necessary. Hidden leverage is stronger than visible leverage. Another principle is reading silence. Silence can mean agreement. It can mean resistance. It can mean calculation. Observe context. Context clarifies meaning. Meaning informs next move. Another powerful concept is preparing exit paths. Not every plan succeeds. Have alternatives. Alternatives reduce desperation. Desperation weakens negotiation. Calm alternatives increase strength. Another key factor is studying reaction speed. Some people respond quickly, some respond slowly. Speed reveals style. Fast responders may act emotionally. Slow responders may calculate. Adjust accordingly. Adjustment increases control. Another important idea is understanding power shifts. Power is rarely static. It moves quietly. If someone gains new influence, anticipate behavioral change. If someone loses authority, expect defensive behavior. Predicting shifts prevents surprise. Another principle is strategic empathy. Understand how others see the situation. Their perception shapes their next move. You do not need to agree. You need to understand. Understanding improves prediction. Prediction shapes preparation. Another powerful skill is reducing emotional visibility while anticipating. Do not reveal that you see the pattern. Let others feel confident in their assumptions. Confidence in their assumption may make them predictable. Predictability strengthens your position. Another key concept is planning for worst case quietly. Do not fear worst case scenarios. Prepare for them. Preparation removes anxiety. Anxiety clouds thinking. Clear thinking builds advantage. Another important idea is tempo control. Tempo influences reaction speed. If you slow tempo, others must adjust. If you accelerate tempo, others may feel pressure. Choose tempo intentionally. Intentional tempo creates dominance without noise. Another principle is separating signal from noise. Not every action is meaningful. Some are distractions. Focus on significant moves. Ignore minor noise. Clarity saves energy. Energy fuels strategy. Another powerful habit is thinking beyond ego. If someone challenges you, ask if this is about pride or position. Pride fights quickly. Position waits strategically. Position wins more often. Another key factor is recognizing alliances forming. People align quietly. Watch body language. Watch tone shifts. Watch subtle support. Alliances influence outcomes. Understanding alliances helps you reposition early. Another important idea is timing confrontation. If confrontation is necessary, choose moment carefully. Right timing multiplies impact. Wrong timing reduces influence. Another principle is building quiet confidence in your anticipation. Trust pattern recognition. Trust preparation. Confidence prevents hesitation. Hesitation can expose uncertainty. Controlled movement communicates stability. Another powerful concept is layered thinking. Think about immediate reaction. Think about secondary reaction. Think about long-term ripple. Ripples travel farther than expected. Strategic thinkers anticipate ripples. Anticipation protects reputation. Reputation shapes opportunity. Opportunity builds advantage. Another key idea is adjusting without drama. If you see change coming, shift position quietly. Do not announce it. Subtle adjustment avoids attention. Attention invites counteraction. Counteraction increases risk. Another important principle is learning from miscalculations. You will misread sometimes. Study it. Refine pattern recognition. Refinement improves future accuracy. Accuracy compounds advantage. Another powerful habit is maintaining calm face during anticipation. Do not show surprise. Do not show fear. Neutral expression hides calculation. Hidden calculation protects leverage. Another key concept is strategic silence after prediction. When you anticipate someone's move, let them complete it. Intervening too early reveals awareness. Revealed awareness invites adaptation. Let them move, then respond precisely. Precision wins quietly. Another important idea is accepting uncertainty. You cannot predict everything, but you can reduce uncertainty. Reduced uncertainty increases confidence. Confidence stabilizes movement. Another principle is staying ahead mentally, not loudly. You do not need others to know you anticipated them. Winning quietly preserves relationships. Preserved relationships expand future options. Options increase control. Control defines strategic strength. Anticipation is a discipline. It requires observation. It requires patience. It requires emotional control. When you practice anticipation consistently, you stop being surprised by ordinary patterns. You begin to expect them. Expectation shapes preparation. Preparation shapes outcome. Outcome shapes reputation. Reputation builds quiet power, and quiet power wins before the game becomes visible. Chapter 7. Winning without creating enemies. Many people believe that to win, someone else must lose loudly. They think power requires domination. They think success requires humiliation of others. They think victory must be visible. This mindset creates enemies. Enemies create resistance. Resistance creates long-term obstacles. Strategic thinkers understand something deeper. The strongest wins are often quiet. The most powerful victories leave no bitterness. Winning without creating enemies is an advanced skill. It requires restraint. It requires emotional control. It requires awareness of consequences. When you defeat someone publicly, you may feel strong, but that person remembers. They wait. They observe. They look for moments to respond. Small public victories can create large private opposition. Strategic thinkers avoid unnecessary humiliation. If correction is needed, they do it calmly. If disagreement is required, they do it respectfully. Respect reduces resentment. Resentment fuels conflict. Conflict drains energy. Energy must be preserved for long-term growth. Another important idea is separating ego from outcome. Ego wants recognition. Caro wants applause. But applause can create jealousy. Jealousy creates hidden competition. Competition without awareness creates instability. Strategic thinkers allow success to appear natural. They do not exaggerate it. They do not announce it repeatedly. Quiet success feels less threatening. Less threat means fewer enemies. Another key principle is giving others dignity. Even when you win, allow others to maintain pride. Pride matters to people. If you protect someone's dignity, they may accept defeat gracefully. If you strip dignity away, they will fight harder later. Strategic thinking values long-term peace over short-term dominance. Another powerful habit is choosing collaboration over confrontation when possible. Collaboration creates shared success. Shared success reduces hostility. Hostility creates obstacles. Obstacles slow progress. When you align interests instead of clashing egos, progress accelerates. Another important idea is indirect influence. You do not always need to oppose openly. Sometimes guiding conversation gently achieves more. Suggestion often works better than force. Force creates resistance. Suggestion creates participation. Participation builds support. Support strengthens position. Another key factor is emotional neutrality during victory. Celebrating loudly can appear arrogant. Arrogance invites rivalry. Calm acknowledgement preserves harmony. Harmony protects relationships. Relationships expand opportunity. Another principle is allowing others to feel involved in success. When people feel included, they defend the outcome. When they feel excluded, they criticize it. Inclusion reduces opposition. Opposition weakens momentum. Strategic thinkers share credit wisely. Sharing credit increases loyalty. Loyalty protects position. Another important concept is choosing silence after winning. Not every victory needs explanation. Not every success needs defense. Let outcomes speak. Speaking too much can reopen conflict. Silence closes doors gently. Another powerful skill is recognizing fragile egos. Some individuals react strongly to perceived loss. Handle them carefully. Public challenge may trigger aggression. Private conversation may reduce tension. Context shapes reaction. Choose context strategically. Another key idea is minimizing visible competition. Competition can motivate growth, but visible competition can escalate rivalry. If you outperform someone quietly, resentment is lower. If you boast about outperforming them, resentment increases. Lower resentment means smoother progress. Another important principle is understanding power dynamics. If you defeat someone with influence, they may retaliate later. Consider long-term consequences. Victory is not just about winning today. It is about sustaining advantage tomorrow. Another powerful concept is emotional discipline in arguments. Arguments often become personal. Personal attacks create deep enemies. Keep focus on issue. Detach from personal insult. Professional tone reduces hostility. Hostility often spreads. Calm contains it. Another key factor is letting small losses go. Not every loss needs recovery. Sometimes allowing others to feel victorious reduces tension. Small sacrifice can protect larger goals. Strategic thinkers understand trade-offs. Trade-offs preserve long-term strength. Another important idea is reputation for fairness. Fair people attract allies. Unfair people attract resistance. If you consistently act fairly, others hesitate to oppose you. Fairness builds moral authority. Moral authority strengthens influence. Another powerful habit is protecting others in public. If someone makes a mistake, avoid exposing them unnecessarily. Public exposure creates humiliation. Humiliation creates enemies. Correct privately when possible. Private correction builds respect. Another key principle is avoiding emotional escalation. Escalation often feels powerful, but it creates long-term damage. Stay calm. Stay measured. Measured response discourages further aggression. Another important concept is quiet confidence. When you are confident internally, you do not need to prove superiority. Proving superiority invites challenge. Quiet assurance discourages it. Another powerful idea is strategic generosity. Help others succeed. Support their progress. When people benefit from you, they hesitate to oppose you. Generosity builds networks. Networks protect position. Another key factor is managing perception carefully. If you appear ruthless, people guard themselves. If you appear balanced, people cooperate. Cooperation creates opportunity. Opportunity strengthens position. Another important principle is limiting unnecessary exposure of weakness. You do not need to share every doubt. Selective vulnerability builds trust. Excess vulnerability invites exploitation. Balance protects position. Another powerful skill is forgiving quickly. Holding grudges drains focus. Forgiveness frees mental space. Free mind thinks clearly. Clear thinking improves strategy. Another key concept is knowing when to disengage. If someone seeks constant conflict, disengagement may be wiser. Engagement feeds their energy. Withdrawal removes their platform. Platform loss weakens opposition. Another important idea is protecting long-term relationships over short-term ego. Relationships create opportunities. Krukayo creates friction. Friction slows growth. Strategic thinkers invest in relationships. Investment yields future advantage. Another powerful habit is staying composed under praise and criticism. Overreaction to praise inflates ego. Overreaction to criticism reveals insecurity. Balanced response builds stability. Stability builds trust. Trust builds influence. Another key factor is using calm language. Words shape emotion. Soft tone reduces defensiveness. Reduced defensiveness allows dialogue. Dialogue prevents enemy formation. Another important principle is controlling narrative quietly. Let your actions define you. Avoid defensive explanations. Defensive tone suggests weakness. Steady action suggests strength. Another powerful idea is preparing for envy. Success attracts envy naturally. Reduce visible excess. Stay humble. Humility lowers envy intensity. Lower envy reduces resistance. Another key concept is long memory. People remember how you make them feel. If they feel respected, they remember positively. If they feel humiliated, they remember negatively. Memory shapes future behavior. Strategic thinkers protect emotional memory. Another important factor is choosing influence over dominance. Dominance creates submission. Influence creates alignment. Alignment is stronger than submission. Submission breaks under pressure. Alignment endures. Another powerful habit is thinking about exit strategy. If conflict escalates, how will you exit gracefully? Graceful exit preserves dignity. Dignity preserves future interaction. Another key principle is avoiding unnecessary comparison. Comparison creates rivalry. Focus on self-improvement. Self-improvement builds confidence. Confidence reduces need to compete publicly. Another important idea is subtle leadership. Lead by example. Consistency inspires trust. Trust creates voluntary support. Voluntary support is stronger than forced loyalty. Another powerful concept is emotional patience after victory. Let others process outcomes. Do not push further immediately. Processing time reduces resistance. Reduced resistance protects long-term stability. Another key factor is avoiding visible revenge. Revenge feels powerful, but it creates deep hostility. Hostility lingers. Strategic thinkers avoid revenge. They focus on advancement. Advancement is quieter and more productive. Another important principle is building a reputation for calm resolution. If people see you as reasonable, they prefer negotiation over confrontation. Negotiation reduces enemy formation. Another powerful habit is recognizing when silence is strength. You do not need to respond to every challenge. Some challenges disappear without engagement. Engagement gives them life. Silence removes oxygen. Another key concept is remembering the long game. Enemies today may hold power tomorrow. Protect future bridges. Burning bridges limits options. Options create freedom. Freedom strengthens strategy. Winning without creating enemies is not weakness. It is advanced discipline. It requires awareness of emotion. It requires patience with ego. It requires commitment to long-term success. When you win quietly, without humiliation, without arrogance, without unnecessary conflict, you build something stronger than victory. You build stability, and stability allows you to keep winning, without noise, without resistance, and without enemies waiting in the shadows. Chapter 8. Choosing when not to act. Most people believe action equals strength. They feel that if they do not respond, they are weak. If they do not speak, they are losing. If they do not move quickly, they are falling behind. This belief creates unnecessary motion. Strategic thinkers understand something different. Sometimes the strongest move is no move. Not acting is not laziness. It is discipline. When someone provokes you, reaction feels powerful, but reaction is predictable. Predictable behavior is easy to control. If others can predict your response, they can design situations around it. When you do not react as expected, you disrupt their plan. Disruption creates uncertainty. Uncertainty shifts power. Choosing not to act requires emotional control. Impulse pushes for immediate response. Impulse seeks relief, but relief is short-term. Strategy is long-term. When you pause, you give yourself time. Time reveals information. Information sharpens decisions. Another important idea is that not every opportunity is real. Some opportunities are distractions. They look attractive. They promise quick gain, but they pull you away from your path. If you chase every option, you lose focus. Focus builds depth. Depth builds mastery. Mastery builds influence. Strategic thinkers ask one question before acting. Does this align with my long-term goal? If the answer is unclear, they wait. Waiting prevents regret. Regret often comes from rushed movement. Another powerful concept is letting others overextend. When people are impatient, they act too quickly. They reveal plans. They expose weaknesses. If you stay still, they may move too far. Overextension creates vulnerability. Vulnerability creates opportunity. Patience allows others to create their own mistakes. Another key principle is resisting emotional traps. Some people provoke to test your reaction. If you respond, they gain confirmation. If you stay neutral, they lose leverage. Leverage depends on reaction. Without reaction, their effort weakens. Choosing not to act can be a message. It can signal calm. It can signal confidence. It can signal control. Silence under pressure communicates strength. Strength discourages challenge. Another important idea is conserving energy. Energy is limited. Every argument, every conflict, every unnecessary decision consumes it. When you act less, you preserve more. Preserved energy can be used for critical moves. Critical moves determine long-term position. Another powerful habit is observing before engaging. In new situations, do not rush to contribute. Watch dynamics. Study alliances. Notice power flows. Early action without context can place you in the wrong position. Position matters more than speed. Speed without direction leads to instability. Another key concept is strategic delay. Delay is not avoidance. It is timing control. When others expect immediate response, delayed response creates tension. That tension may reveal their urgency. Urgency reveals weakness. Weakness indicates leverage. Another important principle is allowing silence to work for you. After you make a point, stop. Do not over-explain. Let others fill the space. Often, they reveal more than intended. Silence creates space for mistakes. Space for mistakes creates advantage. Another powerful idea is selective engagement. You do not need to comment on every issue. You do not need to defend every opinion. Engagement should serve purpose. Purpose guides action. Action without purpose creates noise. Noise attracts unnecessary attention. Attention invites scrutiny. Scrutiny increases pressure. Pressure weakens clarity. Another key factor is detachment from ego. Ego wants to win arguments. Strategy wants to win outcomes. Arguments are short-term. Outcomes are long-term. If silence protects outcome, choose silence. If action strengthens position, choose action. The difference is awareness. Another important idea is letting time test ideas. Some conflicts fade naturally. Some tensions dissolve without intervention. Intervening too early may escalate. Waiting may neutralize. Neutral situations preserve stability. Another powerful habit is recognizing bait. Bait is designed to trigger emotion. It may come as insult. It may come as challenge. It may come as urgency. If you take the bait, you enter someone else's plan. If you ignore it, their plan collapses. Discipline is refusing bait. Another key principle is protecting reputation through restraint. If you react aggressively, people label you reactive. If you remain steady, people label you controlled. Labels shape perception. Perception shapes opportunity. Opportunity shapes power. Another important concept is not acting out of fear. Fear pushes premature decisions. Premature decisions weaken structure. When you feel fear, pause. Let emotion settle. Settled emotion improves thinking. Better thinking improves results. Another powerful idea is long-term silence. Not every goal needs public declaration. Work quietly. Build privately. Reveal strategically. Silence protects preparation. Preparation strengthens impact. Another key factor is observing momentum shifts. If momentum favors you, do not overpush. If momentum shifts away, do not panic. Sometimes waiting stabilizes momentum. Stability protects position. Another important principle is strategic surrender. Occasionally, allowing small loss protects larger gain. If defending a minor issue creates major conflict, let it go. Letting go is not defeat. It is prioritization. Prioritization strengthens long-term outcome. Another powerful habit is evaluating cost before action. Every action has cost. Time cost, energy cost, relationship cost. If cost outweighs benefit, do not act. Disciplined inaction is strength. Another key concept is patience with uncertainty. Uncertainty creates discomfort. Many act simply to reduce discomfort, but discomfort fades. Poor decisions last. Learn to tolerate uncertainty. Tolerance builds mental endurance. Endurance supports strategic movement. Another important idea is quiet repositioning. Instead of confronting directly, shift path. Instead of arguing publicly, adjust privately. Adjustment avoids unnecessary exposure. Exposure invites resistance. Resistance slows progress. Another powerful principle is emotional invisibility. Not every reaction needs expression. When others cannot read your emotion easily, they hesitate. Hesitation slows their aggression. Slow aggression gives you space. Space creates advantage. Another key factor is internal clarity before external action. Do not move while confused. Clarity prevents contradiction. Contradiction weakens credibility. Credibility strengthens position. Another important idea is resisting the urge to prove yourself. Proof often seeks validation. Validation can be temporary. Quiet consistency builds lasting reputation. Reputation built quietly is harder to attack. Another powerful habit is choosing battles strategically. Some conflicts are traps. They distract from your larger aim. Stay aligned with your path. Alignment protects direction. Direction determines destination. Another key principle is recognizing that not acting is still a choice. It is not weakness. It is controlled decision. Controlled decision reflects power. Another important concept is emotional cooling before response. If a message angers you, wait. Respond when calm. Calm response increases authority. Authority strengthens negotiation. Another powerful idea is letting others underestimate your silence. Some interpret silence as weakness. Underestimation lowers their guard. Lower guard reveals patterns. Patterns provide information. Information builds advantage. Another key factor is mastering the pause. Pause before speaking. Pause before agreeing. Pause before confronting. Pause protects intention. Intention guides strategy. Strategy sustains advantage. Choosing when not to act requires discipline. It requires emotional strength. It requires confidence in timing. When you master inaction, you control rhythm. When you control rhythm, you control direction. And when you control direction, you move ahead quietly, while others exhaust themselves, reacting to every impulse. That is the power of choosing, not to act. Chapter 9. Using information as leverage. Information is quiet power. Most people talk too much. They share opinions quickly. They reveal plans early. They react publicly. Strategic thinkers collect more than they reveal. When you speak, you give information. When you listen, you gain information. The balance between these two determines leverage. Leverage is influence without force. You do not push. You do not threaten. You position. Positioning becomes easier when you know more than others expect. Information reduces uncertainty. Uncertainty creates fear. Fear leads to mistakes. When you are informed, you move with calm. Calm movement signals control. Control builds reputation. Reputation strengthens influence. Another important idea is that not all information is equal. Some information is noise. Some information changes outcomes. Strategic thinkers learn to separate the two. Noise is emotional reaction. Noise is rumor. Noise is distraction. Signal is pattern. Signal is incentive. Signal is shift in behavior. Focusing on signal increases clarity. Clarity improves timing. Timing strengthens results. Another key principle is listening deeply. When someone speaks, do not only hear words, hear tone, hear hesitation, hear emphasis. People reveal priorities through repetition. If someone repeats concern about risk, security matters to them. If someone repeats desire for recognition, status matters to them. Understanding priorities reveals leverage. Leverage is not manipulation. It is alignment. When you understand what matters to someone, you can align proposal with their interest. Alignment reduces resistance. Resistance weakens negotiation. Another powerful habit is asking controlled questions. Questions guide conversation. They uncover hidden concerns. They reveal hidden goals. A well-placed question often reveals more than a long speech. Questions collect data. Data informs strategy. Another key idea is protecting your own information. You do not need to answer every question fully. Selective sharing maintains advantage. Oversharing reduces leverage. If others know your exact limits, they negotiate to those limits. Keep margins private. Privacy protects flexibility. Another important principle is observing reactions to information. When you mention a topic, watch response. Interest may signal opportunity. Discomfort may signal sensitivity. Sensitivity reveals pressure points. Pressure points influence decisions. Another powerful concept is timing information release. Information can calm. It can motivate. It can pressure. Release it strategically. Too early release weakens effect. Too late release loses impact. Timing multiplies power. Another key factor is cross-checking information. Do not trust one source blindly. Patterns confirm truth. Truth reduces risk. Risk reduction protects position. Another important idea is building quiet credibility. When people see that you are informed, they respect your presence. Respect increases influence. Influence strengthens leverage. Another powerful habit is remembering small details. Details connect patterns. Patterns predict moves. Prediction reduces surprise. Reduced surprise builds confidence. Another key principle is staying neutral while collecting information. If people sense judgment, they close. If they sense curiosity, they open. Openness increases information flow. Information flow strengthens strategy. Another important concept is distinguishing between facts and interpretation. Facts are observable. Interpretations are assumptions. Strategic thinkers rely on evidence. Evidence reduces error. Error weakens leverage. Another powerful idea is studying incentives carefully. Incentives drive behavior. If you know what someone gains from a decision, you understand their likely choice. Understanding reduces guesswork. Less guesswork increases accuracy. Accuracy strengthens positioning. Another key factor is limiting emotional reaction to new information. Surprising information can trigger emotion. Emotion distorts analysis. Pause before responding. Process quietly. Quiet processing preserves clarity. Another important principle is protecting sources. If someone shares sensitive insight, do not expose them. Trust is fragile. Broken trust reduces future access. Access to information is power. Protect access carefully. Another powerful habit is analyzing gaps. Sometimes what is missing matters more than what is present. If data is incomplete, ask why. Gaps may signal concealment. Concealment indicates strategic behavior. Recognizing concealment prevents vulnerability. Another key concept is storing information without immediate action. Not every piece of data requires response. Hold it. Wait for context. Context may increase value. Information gains power with timing. Another important idea is emotional neutrality in negotiation. If others sense desperation, they increase pressure. If they sense calm confidence, they become cautious. Caution shifts leverage toward you. Another powerful principle is using silence after sharing key information. State your point calmly, then pause. Silence increases weight. Weight increases influence. Another key factor is resisting the urge to show how much you know. Revealing full awareness removes advantage. Keep some knowledge private. Private knowledge preserves strength. Another important idea is watching how information spreads. Who shares quickly? Who stays silent? Who distorts? Patterns reveal reliability. Reliability determines alliance. Alliance shapes power structure. Another powerful habit is preparing information before high-stakes situations. Do research. Understand history. Know background. Preparation increases confidence. Confidence enhances authority. Another key principle is recognizing emotional manipulation through information. Some people exaggerate to provoke fear. Others minimize to reduce urgency. Analyze calmly. Separate facts from emotional framing. Clear thinking strengthens leverage. Another important concept is information discipline. Do not gossip. Do not spread unnecessary details. Reputation for discretion increases trust. Trust increases access. Access increases power. Another powerful idea is asking yourself what others assume you do not know. Hidden assumptions create blind spots. Clarify gently. Clarity removes surprise. Another key factor is learning continuously. Information becomes outdated. Stay informed. Current knowledge prevents vulnerability. Another important principle is patience with incomplete data. You may not know everything immediately. Wait. Rushed conclusions create mistakes. Mistakes weaken leverage. Another powerful habit is protecting your digital footprint. Modern information spreads quickly. Careless messages can weaken position. Be intentional. Intentional communication preserves influence. Another key concept is using information to prevent conflict. If you know someone's concern, address it early. Early resolution avoids escalation. Escalation increases cost. Cost drains advantage. Another important idea is understanding that information changes dynamics. New facts can shift alliances. Be alert to shifts. Adjust positioning quietly. Quiet adjustment preserves stability. Another powerful principle is valuing listening over speaking. Listening reveals. Speaking exposes. Balance wisely. Another key factor is maintaining ethical boundaries. Leverage without integrity collapses. Short-term advantage may lead to long-term loss. Sustainable power requires trust. Trust requires ethics. Another important idea is controlling curiosity publicly. You may gather information privately, but do not appear intrusive. Discretion builds comfort. Comfort increases openness. Another powerful habit is summarizing internally. After conversations, reflect. What was said? What was implied? What changed? Reflection refines understanding. Refined understanding improves strategy. Another key principle is not reacting to rumors quickly. Verify before acting. False information creates unnecessary conflict. Verification protects credibility. Another important concept is protecting your emotional state from information overload. Too much data creates confusion. Filter carefully. Clarity matters more than quantity. Another powerful idea is understanding silence as information. If someone avoids answering directly, that avoidance is data. Data informs next move. Another key factor is not tying ego to knowledge. You may know more, but arrogance reduces trust. Confidence does not need display. Quiet awareness is enough. Using information as leverage is subtle. It is not aggressive. It is controlled awareness. It is preparation. It is timing. When you know more than you reveal, when you analyze before reacting, when you release information carefully, you move with quiet strength. Others may not see the preparation. They only see the result, and the result looks effortless. But it is built on disciplined observation, controlled disclosure, and strategic timing. That is how information becomes leverage. And leverage allows you to win, without noise and without force. Chapter 10. Turning setbacks into strategic advantage. Setbacks are part of every serious journey. Plans fail. Opportunities disappear. People disappoint you. Timing shifts. Most people react emotionally to setbacks. They feel embarrassed. They feel angry. They feel exposed. Emotion narrows thinking. Narrow thinking creates panic decisions. Strategic thinkers respond differently. They treat setbacks as information. Information reveals weaknesses. Weakness reveals where adjustment is needed. Adjustment builds strength. A setback is not only a loss, it is feedback. Feedback shows you what the environment accepts and rejects. If a proposal fails, ask why. Was the timing wrong? Was the positioning weak? Was resistance underestimated? Blame is easy. Analysis is powerful. Blame keeps you stuck. Analysis moves you forward. Another important idea is emotional recovery speed. The faster you regain emotional balance, the faster you regain control. Control determines next move. Next move determines recovery. Strategic thinkers feel disappointment, but they do not live in it. They pause. They breathe. They analyze. Calm analysis prevents repeated error. Another key principle is protecting reputation during loss. How you behave when you lose often shapes perception more than when you win. If you complain publicly, you weaken your image. If you remain composed, you strengthen credibility. Credibility attracts future opportunity. Another powerful concept is silent rebuilding. After setback, avoid dramatic reaction. Do not announce frustration. Rebuild quietly. Work privately. Return stronger. Quiet recovery surprises observers. Surprise shifts power. Another important factor is identifying hidden opportunity. Every setback closes one path, but it may open another. If one door closes, look for adjacent spaces. Strategic thinking explores sideways movement. Sideways growth can lead to better position. Another key idea is learning from exposure. Sometimes setbacks reveal too much about your plan. Study what became visible. Adjust your level of transparency. Less exposure increases protection. Protection strengthens long-term positioning. Another powerful habit is detaching identity from failure. A failed attempt is not a failed person. Attachment to outcome increases fear. Fear reduces future risk-taking. Controlled detachment maintains confidence. Confidence supports strategic action. Another important principle is studying others' reactions to your setback. Who supports you? Who distances themselves? Who criticizes? Reactions reveal loyalty and alignment. Alignment shapes future alliances. Alliances influence recovery speed. Another key concept is resilience without noise. Resilience does not need announcement. It shows in consistency. Continue working. Continue building. Consistency rebuilds reputation. Reputation attracts new openings. Another powerful idea is resetting expectations. After setback, reassess. Is the original goal still aligned, or has the environment changed? Strategic thinkers adapt goals when needed. Adaptation prevents stagnation. Stagnation weakens influence. Another important factor is resisting revenge thinking. After loss, ego may seek retaliation. Retaliation drains energy. Energy is better invested in growth. Growth produces stronger results than revenge. Another key principle is analyzing structural weakness. Was the setback caused by poor timing? Weak alliances, insufficient preparation. Identify structural gaps. Close them quietly. Closing gaps strengthens foundation. Strong foundation reduces future risk. Another powerful habit is strengthening skills during recovery. Use downtime productively. Improve competence. Expand knowledge. Skill growth increases leverage. Leverage increases next opportunity's success rate. Another important idea is maintaining calm narrative. Do not frame setback as disaster. Frame it as transition. Language shapes mindset. Mindset shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. Another key concept is guarding against self-doubt. Temporary doubt is natural. Permanent doubt is destructive. Remind yourself of past wins. Perspective stabilizes emotion. Stable emotion supports clear planning. Another powerful principle is studying timing carefully. Maybe the move was right, but the moment was wrong. Right move at wrong time fails. Wrong move at right time may succeed. Timing often matters more than intensity. Another important factor is controlling visibility during vulnerability. After setback, avoid oversharing weakness. Maintain composure. Composure discourages attack. Attack often targets visible weakness. Another key idea is strategic retreat. Retreat is not surrender. It is repositioning. Step back to gain perspective. Perspective clarifies next move. Clear next move restores momentum. Another powerful habit is rebuilding confidence through action. Small wins restore momentum. Momentum rebuilds belief. Belief fuels resilience. Resilience strengthens long-term strategy. Another important principle is patience in recovery. Rushing to recover can create new mistakes. Slow rebuilding builds stability. Stability prevents collapse. Another key concept is strengthening alliances during difficulty. People remember who stands steady. If you remain calm, you attract mature allies. Mature allies provide stability. Stability supports growth. Another powerful idea is studying competitors during your pause. While you recover, observe. What mistakes are others making? Where are they overextending? Observation may reveal new opportunity. Opportunity often appears when others relax. Another important factor is protecting internal motivation. External failure should not destroy internal drive. Drive must come from vision. Vision sustains long-term movement. Another key principle is learning without bitterness. Bitterness clouds judgment. Clarity improves positioning. Choose clarity over resentment. Another powerful habit is preparing stronger foundation before re-entry. When you return, return stronger. Strength discourages doubt. Doubt weakens negotiation. Another important idea is accepting imperfection. No strategy guarantees success. Risk is part of growth. Growth requires experimentation. Experimentation includes failure. Failure refines skill. Refined skill increases future success probability. Another key concept is protecting your long-term narrative. One setback does not define your story. Stories are written over time. Time smooths sharp edges. Stay consistent. Consistency restores image. Another powerful principle is turning criticism into improvement. If criticism contains truth, use it. If it is empty, ignore it. Discernment strengthens resilience. Resilience builds authority. Another important factor is not seeking sympathy publicly. Sympathy can reduce perceived strength. Strength inspires confidence. Confidence attracts support. Another key idea is quiet comeback. Let results speak. Do not announce recovery. Return steadily. Steady return surprises observers. Surprise shifts perception. Another powerful habit is focusing on process over outcome. Process is controllable. Outcome depends on many factors. Improve process. Better process increases future probability of success. Another important principle is building emotional endurance. Setbacks test endurance. Endurance separates long-term players from short-term ones. Short-term thinkers quit early. Strategic thinkers persist. Another key concept is controlling fear of repetition. Fear of repeating failure may freeze action. Study mistakes carefully. Correct them. Then move forward confidently. Correction reduces repetition risk. Another powerful idea is gratitude for lesson. Every setback teaches. Teaching strengthens strategy. Strategy improves outcomes. Another important factor is protecting optimism. Optimism fuels effort. Effort produces opportunity. Opportunity restores momentum. Turning setbacks into advantage is a mindset. It requires calm analysis. It requires emotional control. It requires patience. When you treat loss as data, when you rebuild without noise, when you return stronger than before, setbacks stop being threats. They become tools. Tools shape strategy. Strategy shapes outcomes. And outcomes, when built on resilience, create quiet victories that last far longer than temporary failures ever could. Chapter 11. Mastering timing and patience. Strategy without timing is incomplete. You can have the right idea. You can have the right plan. You can have the right skills. But if your timing is wrong, the result weakens. Timing multiplies power. The same words spoken too early create resistance. The same words spoken at the right moment create agreement. Most people underestimate timing. They focus on content. They ignore context. Context determines readiness. Readiness determines reception. Strategic thinkers study readiness. Before acting, they ask one quiet question: is this moment ready? If the answer is unclear, they wait. Waiting is difficult. Waiting feels like inaction, but waiting is preparation. Preparation increases probability. Probability improves outcomes. Another important idea is emotional patience. Impatience often comes from ego. Ego wants recognition now. Ego wants resolution now. Ego wants validation now. Strategy wants stability. Stability grows slowly. Slow growth lasts longer. Another key principle is observing energy shifts. Every environment has rhythm. There are moments of openness, moments of tension, moments of distraction. Speak during openness. Pause during tension. Observe during distraction. Alignment with rhythm increases influence. Another powerful concept is resisting forced momentum. Some situations feel urgent, but urgency may not be genuine. Pressure can be used to push you into premature decision. Pause before agreeing. Pause before committing. Clarity protects leverage. Another important factor is understanding emotional timing. If someone is angry, logic will not work immediately. If someone is defensive, confrontation will escalate. Wait until emotion cools. Cool emotion allows reason. Reason increases resolution. Another key idea is preparation before opportunity. Opportunities often appear suddenly. If you are prepared, you move quickly. If you are unprepared, you hesitate. Preparation shortens reaction time. Short reaction time in the right moment creates advantage. Another powerful principle is distinguishing between action timing and reaction timing. You control when you act. You do not control when others act, but you control when you respond. Delayed response can strengthen position. Immediate response can reveal vulnerability. Choose response timing carefully. Another important concept is patience with growth. Not every strategy produces instant results. Compounding takes time. Trust the process. Small, disciplined actions accumulate. Accumulation builds advantage quietly. Another key factor is recognizing fear-driven urgency. Fear pushes quick movement. Fear says, act now or lose everything. Calm analysis often reveals exaggeration. Exaggeration clouds judgment. Judgment must remain clear. Another powerful idea is long-term sequencing. Think about stages. Stage 1 builds foundation. Stage 2 builds visibility. Stage 3 builds authority. If you skip foundation, authority collapses. If you rush visibility, you attract pressure before ready. Respect sequence. Sequence preserves stability. Another important principle is strategic silence before major moves. Do not signal intention too early. Let others settle into routine. Move when resistance is low. Low resistance increases success probability. Another key concept is timing confrontation wisely. Confrontation during public tension escalates conflict. Confrontation during private calm increases resolution. Choose environment carefully. Environment shapes reaction. Another powerful habit is studying patterns of change. Change often follows predictable cycles. There is excitement, then resistance, then adjustment. Act during adjustment. Adjustment creates openness. Openness invites influence. Another important idea is resisting the urge to prove speed. Speed impresses temporarily. Consistency impresses permanently. Permanent impression builds trust. Trust creates leverage. Another key factor is allowing others to reveal impatience. Impatient individuals often expose strategy early. Exposure creates information. Information strengthens your positioning. Patience creates advantage over impatience. Another powerful principle is protecting your energy during waiting periods. Waiting does not mean stagnation. Improve skills. Strengthen alliances. Gather information. Active patience builds momentum quietly. Another important concept is knowing when delay becomes risk. Patience is strength, but excessive delay can weaken opportunity. Balance patience with awareness. Watch signals carefully. When signals align, act decisively. Decisive action at right time builds authority. Another key idea is mastering emotional neutrality while waiting. Do not show frustration. Frustration signals weakness. Calm, waiting signals control. Control discourages pressure from others. Another powerful habit is observing when others are distracted. During distraction, resistance lowers. Low resistance creates opportunity. Act when attention is elsewhere. This reduces opposition. Another important principle is strategic repetition. Sometimes repeating small, consistent effort produces better results than one dramatic move. Consistency builds familiarity. Familiarity builds comfort. Comfort reduces resistance. Another key concept is aligning with momentum. When momentum supports your goal, accelerate. When momentum shifts against you, pause. Forcing against strong resistance wastes energy. Energy must be preserved. Another powerful idea is protecting your reputation during delay. While you wait, maintain visibility through steady contribution. Do not disappear. Maintain presence. Presence preserves influence. Another important factor is emotional regulation during uncertainty. Uncertainty often accompanies waiting. Uncertainty creates anxiety. Anxiety tempts premature action. Return to calm. Calm strengthens judgment. Another key principle is understanding that not every opportunity is urgent. Some doors open repeatedly. If one closes, another may appear. Desperation narrows perspective. Perspective widens with patience. Another powerful concept is timing your visibility. Appear when needed. Step back when attention is excessive. Balanced visibility protects position. Another important idea is learning from mistimed actions. If something failed due to timing, study it. Was it too early? Was it too late? Timing errors teach precision. Precision increases future success. Another key factor is developing internal patience. External waiting is easier when internal mind is calm. Practice slowing thoughts. Slow thoughts improve foresight. Foresight sharpens timing. Another powerful principle is recognizing natural cycles of power. Influence rises and falls. Do not overreact to temporary decline. Cycles reverse. Stay consistent. Consistency stabilizes trajectory. Another important concept is guarding against boredom during waiting. Boredom tempts reckless action. Fill time productively. Growth during waiting strengthens position. Another key idea is decisive action when moment aligns. Patience is not hesitation. When timing feels right and preparation is complete, move fully. Half action weakens impact. Full commitment multiplies result. Another powerful habit is learning to enjoy process. Enjoyment reduces impatience. Impatience clouds thinking. Clear thinking enhances strategy. Another important principle is respecting natural pace of others. If someone is not ready, forcing rarely works. Let readiness develop. Readiness increases cooperation. Cooperation improves outcome. Another key concept is timing communication carefully. Deliver difficult messages when privacy exists. Deliver proposals when attention is high. Delivery context shapes reception. Another powerful idea is remembering that time itself is leverage. Those who control timing often control outcome. Control timing through patience. Patience through discipline. Discipline through clarity. Mastering timing and patience transforms strategy. It prevents premature exposure. It reduces emotional reaction. It strengthens positioning. When you act at the right moment, your effort multiplies. When you wait with purpose, your foundation strengthens. Others may rush. Others may panic. Others may reveal their impatience. You remain steady. Steady minds see openings. Openings reward preparation. Preparation meets opportunity. And when preparation meets opportunity at the right moment, you move forward quietly, decisively, and far ahead of those who could not wait. Chapter 12. Winning quietly and sustaining power. Winning loudly feels dramatic. It attracts attention. It creates applause. It creates noise. But loud victories often fade quickly. Quiet wins last longer. Strategic thinking is not only about getting ahead, it is about staying ahead. Staying ahead requires stability. Stability requires discipline. Discipline requires self-mastery. Many people rise fast. Few sustain position. The difference is control. Control over emotion. Control over ego. Control over visibility. When you win, the real test begins. Success attracts attention. Attention attracts envy. Envy creates resistance. If you celebrate excessively, you increase envy. If you show arrogance, you increase opposition. Quiet confidence reduces both. Another important idea is protecting your foundation. Your foundation includes relationships, skills, and reputation. If you neglect foundation after winning, cracks appear. Cracks weaken stability. Stability keeps power intact. Strategic thinkers strengthen foundation continuously. They do not assume position is permanent. Nothing is permanent without maintenance. Another key principle is consistency in character. Power changes people. If your behavior shifts dramatically after success, trust erodes. Trust erosion creates hidden enemies. Hidden enemies are more dangerous than visible ones. Consistency preserves loyalty. Loyalty protects position. Another powerful concept is controlled visibility. You do not need to be everywhere. You do not need constant recognition. Appear when necessary. Withdraw when appropriate. Balanced visibility preserves influence. Overexposure invites scrutiny. Scrutiny increases pressure. Another important factor is continuing to learn. Winning can create complacency. Complacency slows growth. Others continue improving. If you stop learning, you fall behind quietly. Strategic thinkers remain students. Curiosity protects relevance. Relevance maintains power. Another key idea is humility after success. Humility disarms rivalry. It builds trust. It invites cooperation. Cooperation strengthens long-term influence. Arrogance isolates. Isolation weakens stability. Another powerful habit is protecting emotional balance. After victory, excitement can reduce caution. Reduced caution creates mistakes. Stay steady. Treat success like progress, not completion. Progress continues. Completion creates stagnation. Another important principle is reinforcing alliances. Thank those who supported you. Share credit wisely. Shared credit increases loyalty. Loyalty strengthens security. Security reduces vulnerability. Another key concept is avoiding unnecessary expansion. Growth is powerful. Overexpansion is dangerous. If you grow too quickly without structure, collapse follows. Structure must match growth. Balanced growth sustains power. Another powerful idea is silent reinforcement. Instead of announcing strength, strengthen quietly. Improve systems. Improve processes. Improve knowledge. Quiet improvement builds long-term advantage. Another important factor is protecting reputation carefully. One careless action can damage years of work. Stay disciplined. Stay measured. Stay aware. Reputation is leverage. Leverage must be guarded. Another key principle is emotional intelligence in leadership. When you hold influence, others watch closely. Your tone shapes culture. Your behavior sets standard. Lead calmly. Calm leadership reduces conflict. Reduced conflict stabilizes power. Another powerful concept is anticipating new competition. Success attracts challengers. Prepare before they arrive. Preparation deters attack. Deterrence protects position. Another important idea is managing perception strategically. Do not appear threatened by competition. Calm response shows confidence. Confidence discourages escalation. Another key factor is maintaining internal purpose. If you chase status alone, stability weakens. If you stay aligned with purpose, direction remains clear. Clear direction prevents distraction. Another powerful habit is avoiding public humiliation of others. When you are powerful, restraint becomes more important. Humiliation creates deep enemies. Respect creates quiet loyalty. Another important principle is controlling reaction to criticism. Criticism increases with visibility. Respond calmly. Extract useful insight. Ignore noise. Calm response strengthens image. Another key concept is staying grounded in values. Values guide decisions. Decisions shape legacy. Legacy defines long-term influence. Another powerful idea is strategic generosity. Support emerging talent. Help others grow. When others benefit from your rise, they protect it. Protection strengthens stability. Another important factor is preparing for change. Power structures shift. Markets shift. Relationships shift. Anticipate shifts. Adapt early. Adaptation preserves relevance. Another key principle is mental resilience. Sustaining power requires endurance. Endurance requires balance. Balance requires discipline. Discipline preserves clarity. Another powerful concept is reducing unnecessary risk. High position attracts higher stakes. Evaluate carefully. Not every risk is worth reward. Measured risk strengthens long-term survival. Another important idea is internal security. If your confidence depends on constant validation, stability weakens. Build confidence internally. Internal security reduces fear of loss. Reduced fear increases calm decisions. Another key factor is respecting timing, even in dominance. Just because you can act does not mean you should. Restraint preserves influence. Influence grows with patience. Another powerful habit is preparing successors or partners wisely. Shared strength stabilizes position. Isolation weakens structure. Collaboration sustains momentum. Another important principle is reflecting regularly. Review decisions. Study outcomes. Adjust quietly. Continuous refinement strengthens strategy. Another key concept is protecting privacy. Not every achievement needs exposure. Silence maintains mystique. Mystique sustains leverage. Another powerful idea is recognizing that quiet power feels different. It is not loud, it is steady. It does not demand attention. It commands respect. Another important factor is managing expectations. Do not promise more than necessary. Under-promise. Over-deliver. Delivery strengthens trust. Trust strengthens position. Another key principle is emotional restraint during conflict. Even in strength, choose calm. Calm avoids escalation. Escalation weakens stability. Another powerful concept is sustaining discipline after success. Discipline got you there. Discipline keeps you there. Abandon discipline, and position erodes. Another important idea is thinking in decades, not moments. Moments create headlines. Decades create legacy. Legacy is built through steady action. Steady action compounds influence. Another key factor is maintaining adaptability. Rigid power collapses. Flexible power survives. Survival sustains long-term advantage. Another powerful habit is keeping perspective. Today's dominance is temporary. Perspective prevents arrogance. Arrogance invites downfall. Another important principle is protecting energy. Power consumes attention. Attention consumes energy. Guard your time. Guard your focus. Focus strengthens clarity. Clarity protects direction. Another key concept is emotional maturity. Maturity stabilizes leadership. Stable leadership sustains trust. Trust anchors influence. Another powerful idea is understanding that the goal is not domination. The goal is sustainability. Sustainability ensures continuity. Continuity builds legacy. Winning quietly is not about hiding success. It is about building without unnecessary noise. It is about moving with calm confidence. It is about understanding timing, restraint, and discipline. When you win quietly, you reduce enemies. You preserve alliances. You strengthen foundation. When you sustain power, you think long-term. You act with intention. You protect your position carefully. Others may chase noise. Others may seek applause. You remain steady. You remain disciplined. You remain aware. And over time, quiet discipline builds unshakable strength. Strength that does not need to shout. Strength that does not need validation. Strength that lasts. That is how you stay ahead. That is how you read situations clearly. That is how you win quietly. And continue winning long after others have exhausted themselves chasing attention.